Hey, this is Jason Hodge of Medical Fitness Pros. I want to talk to you about knee pain, especially regarding squats. I know a lot of people will avoid squats, and they feel like they're knee pain. They feel like they have knee pain whenever they do squats, and they'll actually avoid squats simply because it does hurt their knees every time they do it. And sometimes people tell them they should be doing squats so their knee doesn't hurt. Sometimes they have people tell them to avoid squats at all costs because it hurts the knees as well. So what is it you should do? How is it that squats work? How can you use squats to your advantage so that you don't have knee pain? And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk briefly about, first off, what it is that causes the knee pain whenever you're going through and doing squats. And two, what things can you do to actually make it so you can do it properly without causing pain? How can you get it stronger so that the squats actually help you with your knees as well? So we're going to cover all those different aspects. If you're just now tuning in, or if you're catching it on the replay, so we're basically talking about knee pain and squats, how you can basically avoid the pain. And so I'm going to show you a couple things like on the anatomy first, and then, no, you're fine. So we're going to talk briefly about the anatomy of it first, and I'm going to show you some examples of everything. So let me flip this around. I'm going to show you something here on the wall. Okay. So this is a little anatomical chart, and I'm going to try to do the best I can to show you this without zooming in too terribly much. Let's look at the knee first. And you notice here on the knee, there are different muscles that come off from it, right? So you have a vastus medialis, vastus lateralis. You've also got the rectus femoris here. And so when you're going through and doing squats, what happens is this vastus lateralis can actually be stronger than the vastus medialis. So if this muscle is really strong, it can make the patella track diagonally. Now this is, there's a lot of different reasons for knee pain with squats and everything, but I'm just going to go over a common one for now. So this is often common with runners. It's common with, you hear runners knee, jumpers knee, various things like that. So we're just going to talk briefly about this aspect as far as the lateralis and medialis connection and everything. So when you're looking at knee pain with squats, if you're firing that lateralis a lot whenever you go to do a squat, it actually contract the patella possibly out to the side laterally and cause some knee pain. Most people that I run across have a real hard time. Runners, I'm talking to you, the medialis is really weak, and when that medialis is weak, it ends up setting up somebody for a whole host of problems. Now it's not just the knee though, so the knee is part of it, but you also got to look at the glute strength. If the glutes aren't firing the way they should, oftentimes the quads take over. Again, look at that vastus lateralis. So if you're doing squats and you're feeling most of the quadriceps, that's where the problem is kind of beginning. If you can't activate your glutes when you go to do a squat, those quadricep muscles are what's firing instead, you're definitely going to run into some problems with that. And so when you're doing a squat, I want to make sure that when you do this properly, that you actually are using the right muscles. Flip this back around. So what I'm saying is on your squats, you want to make sure that the quadriceps are not the primary thing firing, that the glutes, the hips are actually the primary thing that are firing. And what a lot of people get in trouble with is whenever they go through and they do squats, and what ends up happening instead of the body getting stronger and the glutes getting stronger, your quads end up overactivating and taking over. And the result of that is knee pain a lot of time. So I'm going to see if Michelle can help me out a little bit. Hey Michelle, can you okay. So Michelle's going to help me out as far as grabbing the camera. I'm going to talk to you about, or show you the right way to do a squat so that you get the most out of it. And if you have any trouble hearing me, let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. I'm going to hand this to Michelle and let it flip around so she can watch me. And if you have any questions, she'll be able to see your questions and let me know. So thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. So if you're just now tuning in, we're going to talk about the relationship. I just talked about the relationship between quadriceps and hips and how it relates to the knee pain. What I was saying earlier is if you primarily feel your quadriceps instead of your glutes, that's one of the biggest issues as far as why you have knee pain. And some of that has to do with what's tracking. If your lateral quad is actually what's primarily firing, or if you're feeling quads at all, or the front of your leg, if you feel that primarily when you do squats, you probably have knee pain or will have knee pain. But if you're doing squats and you're feeling the glutes instead, you're definitely on the right track, and that's what you're wanting. So Michelle's going to film me. I'm going to go through a couple of different squats to show you how to do it properly. And if you have any questions, feel free to chime in below. post a comment and I'll respond to those if you have any questions. So let me hand this to Michelle. You can just stay close on it, Michelle, because I'm not very loud today. Okay, so we're going to talk about squats and the way to do it properly. Now, most people, when they do squats, are you able to see me okay? As far as, okay. Most people, when they do squats, they're just kind of leaning forward and back up. And they feel like that's a squat. So when you're coming forward and you're using everything on your knees and your quadriceps, that's not actually helping anything as far as using the glutes primarily. And you've got to make sure that you're using glutes whenever you're doing your squat. In fact, when you are doing a squat, it should be mostly a core and a glute exercise. So being able to get down in position where you're here is actually a little bit more proper as far as being able to use the glutes in the core. Now, most of us can't do that. I just do it from practice, but if you watch like little kids, they can do it real properly. They can get the glutes to fire, the core to fire. But what can you do? If you can't squat that way, which is most of us, how would you do it properly? Well, one of the ways I like to do it is using like a table or something, or a bench. Set your feet in front of you like this. Plant your heels. Use your heels as you do your squat. And try to come up, squeezing the glutes as you do it, and then come back down. Coming up, and back down. Hopefully everyone can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know, or let Michelle know so that we can adjust this. So when you're doing a squat, having this position back here, it allows you to fire the glutes and core a little bit easier. Whereas if you're going straight down, it's a little harder to get anything but the quads to fire. So standing up and coming back down, actually standing up and pushing through with the hips is going to be the primary thing you need to focus on. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to show you another way we do it with the TRX to make it a little bit easier as well. So Michelle, go ahead and follow me and we'll come over to this. If you have any questions, let me know. If you can't hear, please make a comment below. It's hard for us to know if you can actually hear what's going on or not. So hopefully it's making sense so far for you. But again, the primary thing for squats should be the glutes are firing and the core is firing. So these are TRX straps. They're a small company that makes these things. They're great for allowing you to use your body weight, but also great for allowing you to use your arms to make it easier for the squats. So what I'm going to do in this situation is I can use my glutes on this better because I can sit back on my heels as I come down and back up. And even if I have to lift my toes up to remind me to use my heels, that's okay for now. But again, the primary thing is to use the glutes as much as possible. And so whenever you're using your when you're using your glutes, it's going to be really hard to activate the knees as well. So it's important that when you're doing this, if you can get the glutes to fire properly, the quads should relax, and therefore the pressure on the knees should totally go away. So if you are having knee pain when you're doing squats, check and see what muscle group you're using. Are you actually using your quadriceps or using your glutes? Because it makes a big difference as far as what you're feeling. Any comments or anything? Any questions? Okay. All right, so I'm going to flip back around. All right. And I love everybody jumping in today and watching. So thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The key thing on this is when you're doing your squats, make sure the hips are the primary thing that are engaged. The glutes are engaged. So if you're just not tuning in, I'm sorry. I just went through the exercise on how to do it, and you can always go back and watch this once it gets posted. So the primary thing I want to get across to everyone was that your glutes have to fire. Your glutes have to fire on squats. If your quadriceps take over, primarily the vastus lateralis, you'll often have knee pain, and runner's knee and all that type of stuff is very common. So if you're, on the other hand, you're using your glutes and your core by doing a squat where you're sitting back more, engaging more of the heel, or pushing through the heel, engaging the core and engaging the glutes, it should minimize or decrease or remove your knee pain overall. So actually, let me pull this one more time to the model. There's been no questions, so I'll wrap everything up if no one has a question. But if you do, please let me know. So one last time on the anatomy of this, so hopefully it makes sense. So in the anatomy part of it, again, your glutes are your primary thing that you should be doing when it comes to squats. And if your glutes are what's primarily working, then the quadriceps usually are not going to fire. Now, if your quadriceps are firing primarily, especially that vastus lateralis, that lateral part of the quadricep, and the vastus medialis is not firing like it should, then that often will pull that kneecap laterally and create some pain. So by firing the glutes, the posterior chain of the body, it basically gets the quads to shut down a little bit and keeps the pressure out of the knees. So it's really that simple. So, all right, flip it back around. Sorry about that. So hopefully that makes sense, y'all. It's basically as simple as what muscle groups you're using when you're doing the squat that will have a big impact on what's causing joint pain or not. Because the joint's not a muscle. It's not something that's creating movement or causing pain. So if you are feeling knee pain, there obviously can be some issues where you have cartilage. I mean, you have meniscus injury. You could have a ligament injury. You could have problems with patella. It could be a lot of different reasons. But for the average person that's out there that's dealing with knee pain, especially things like runner's knee, jumper's knee, athletes, or just people that maybe take the stairs, that could actually aggravate it as well. Those are things you really want to pay attention to and see, okay, when I'm climbing the stairs, am I engaging more my glutes or my quads? If I'm, can I engage my glutes? So the glutes are one of the primary exercises you can have. It's one of the strongest muscles that you should have. And if you're not feeling those muscles, if you're feeling instead the knee or the quadriceps instead, that's definitely a problem. So really make sure that throughout the day that you're engaging the glutes, taking the pressure off the kneecap. And I haven't had any questions on this. I'm assuming everyone totally understands. But feel free to ask any questions below, and I'll be glad to get back to you with the answers. So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll be back with another topic soon. But that is how to use squats to, that's why a lot of people have knee pain when they do squats, and that should be how you avoid it. So thanks again, y'all. Appreciate it.